Take the over. But to be fair, I was expecting 10:30,
Okay.
so there you go.
So I beat you by, what, a minute?
Good morning,
Morning.
Morning.
and welcome to the Wednesday, August 12th, 2026 informal meeting of the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System. Wow, so much to say.
You're on the struggle bus.
Board of Education. This is, in the informal meeting, we do not take any votes. This is an information-only meeting. We are glad to see we have some people here today, and we have some people watching from home, I hope. So we have one agenda item today, so this will be good. We'll have our school opening report.
Thank you, Mr. Board President, Madam Superintendent, board officers, members of the board. We're very excited to be with you today on this first board meeting of August. That is always a very special time because it comes on the heels of school opening. We just opened and welcomed thousands and thousands of our scholars across our pre-K to 12 campus footprint. And I'd be remiss if I also didn't make mention of those little 3-year-olds in our Acorn Academies who are learning with us this year as well. Overall, a very great start to the school year this year, and I will be sharing some data for you as we move through today's presentation. You'll be hearing from our chief officers and division leaders as well to share some key observations that they noted in the first week of school. Before I do that, though, we'll provide opportunity for the superintendent to provide opening remarks on this year's school opening report.
Thank you so much. I'm pleased to report that we experienced a strong and well-executed opening of the 2026-27 school year. And while opening of schools always requires fundamental things like routing buses, preparing and cleaning buildings, staffing schools, et cetera, this year I'd like to report that these fundamentals were executed with even greater level of coordination, effectiveness, and responsiveness. This is especially significant because we were also managing a great deal of change this year. A new cell phone policy, a new grading policy, trying to bring greater clarity and consistency around uniform policies and instructional practices, new math curriculum, additional safety features on our badges. All of these things were new. But through it all, I can say our employees have demonstrated tremendous adaptability and a willingness to embrace and internalize all of these changes. Most importantly, when our students arrived on the first day of school, they were met by teachers and staff who were prepared with warm smiles, welcoming classrooms, and an intentional focus on building relationships. And this is where unlimited possibilities truly begin. Not just a strategic plan that exists in a document, but where it manifests itself in every school, every day, for every student. And certainly, I would be remiss if I did not say we had issues to address. We are still addressing some of those issues. But even with that, transportation continues to improve. HVAC concerns that have required attention are being dealt with. Technology issues have smoothed out, and other operational matters that have emerged have been resolved. What has impressed me the most is not the absence of problems, it's the speed, the ownership, and the collaboration with which our team has responded to them. So with that, I will say I want to thank our departmental leaders, our principals, assistant principals, teachers, paraprofessionals, secretaries, custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria teams, transportation staff, maintenance facilities, the list could go on, technology staff, police, and every employee who helped make this possible. And I'll end with this. There is an old saying that excellence is never an accident. This demonstrates, our opening of school demonstrates exactly that. It's the result of preparation, teamwork, shared accountability, and thousands of employees understanding that their individual work contributes to a larger promise to our students. Unlimited possibilities began on day one.
And of course, unlimited possibilities for almost 35,000 students across Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. Quick data snapshot. Of course, we know that these numbers will fluctuate in the beginning of the school year. The board is very much aware of our process that we work through the 10-day count, where we look to stabilize all of our enrollments with our available staffing levels. But to give you an idea how school started, we went to the true data source, which really is how many students are enrolled in Power School. So you'll see on day one, the students that were enrolled in Power School, 34,466. What's unique here, and that makes up part of that number, is those students that are coded new. We hope this is a positive indicator of continued growth throughout the school year. You'll note that we've had students come from various areas across certain segments, whether it be from another school district, from private schools, or another state. Interesting, 72 students that came from another country. That is an accurate number. Did double check that with our SIS team, and that is not a typo. That is students from other countries that are enrolled in our district. And interestingly, over 2,000 never attended school before. What does that tell you? Early childhood education is seeing some pretty positive impacts. And later on, we'll show you a little bit more data from that component. So as you know, we're watching this very closely. This number, as I said, will fluctuate. Very important number because the Power School is what's going to drive that very important FTE count that we report to the state. And of course, that doesn't happen until October. Superintendent sign off due to the state in October for FTE count 1. Very important because that has an impact for funding as well. So that's your snapshot on school opening as far as student enrollment goes. Of course, we know that the school day starts on the bus. The superintendent was with students all day on day one, but she started with staff at the bus lot as early as 5 a.m. to be greeting bus drivers and our great transportation workers. So from here, I'll turn it over to our Chief Operations Officer, Ms. Davidson, to provide you updates on transportation, school nutrition, and facilities.
Thank you, Kurt. Good morning.
Morning.
So as Kurt mentioned, your day starts on the bus for many of our young people, and we have over 18,000 students that are routed. So we have 388 buses, and as you can see, our day one on-time arrival was 71%, which is a strong day one on-time arrival. Remember that day one, a lot of our parents are learning through the process, so that is something that you can see has drastically improved by the August 5th at 76%, and we ended last week at 79%. So we showed significant improvement day after day. Just as a friendly reminder, our customer service team works from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. I will tell you, last week they worked beyond 6 p.m., but they generally work 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., and our staff have the ability to speak or to translate through multiple different languages for our families. We did start our new transportation pilot this year for Garrison and Charles Ellis. We had 245 families and register their students to participate, and right now our participation is about 144. So as we continue into the process, we're going to do some little touch points to work with our families and find out, do you still intend to participate? It may just be that those families chose to bring their students for the first week or two, and then they want to participate, or maybe they had interest and no longer have interest to participate. So we are excited with that, and that on-time arrival rate was 81% in the mid of last week, so that went very well. Our school nutrition program, as similar to the bus, showed improvement day after day. So we started off Monday, the first week, with 26,000 meals being served. You'll notice that our breakfast and lunch numbers were lower, but we ended the week with over 32,000. You'll see the Wednesday lunch is a little anomaly. Remember, Wednesday is pizza day. So that is one of the favorites. It is pizza day again today. So pizza is on our option as well as chicken today. And just as a reminder, we are very fortunate to have CEP, our community eligibility provision, so that our families can have free breakfast and free lunch. So we want them to participate, and a big shout out to our comms team for putting that on social media as well to remind our families that they can eat free with us. Facilities, so we did a lot of work for summer preparation for our facilities to make sure that they met our standards. We were very proud this year to open our buildings shining. We had a newly renovated Jacob G. Smith Elementary School. Georgetown K-8 also opened its renovation, and then remember our Pooler families are now combined, so that Pooler and Bloomingdale are currently located in one school at Bloomingdale, while Pooler is being renovated to an early childhood center. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Chief Ray, for an HR update.
Good morning.
Morning.
We are proud of where we are as far as we're staffing. You can see the results there. Certainly, as we think about the start of the school year, we're starting in January, getting to this point. So we're working hard all through the spring, all through the summer. So this is a culmination of what we've been doing all year, and it's kind of exciting to see where we are. You can see our district-wide vacancies. We're still working on those. We have 245. Teacher vacancies between 20 and 25. We say that because we're having some flux as far as people still leaving, and then people coming in as we're still hiring. So that's kind of where that fluctuation is. Our highest need is paraprofessionals, but I also would say we're still looking for custodians as well. And you can see where our bus drivers are as we start the school year. Substitute fill rate, you can see those high substitute fill rates as well. We've been doing better than we've done in the past, and certainly in our transformation schools, we've been at 100% on many days, as you can see, as we are reporting there as well. And so that's our report, and we'll go to the next person.
One of the things
Oh,
that
sorry.
Mr. Chief Ray did not mention was the retention rate. So we started from a good starting place with a 91% graduation rate. And that's up how
That's
many
up.
points from the previous?
It's up about 4 points, I believe, from the platform previous year. So yeah, we've been steadily moving. When Dr. Watts came in, I think we were like 82%. So that's kind of showing you where we've gone from 82 to 91. But that also means that we have a lot less openings or a lot less opportunities sometimes than might be perceived, because a lot of the teacher openings are specific. For example, we have a construction opening, so that's one. We have these other onesie, twosies that are not as easy to fill in any context, but certainly, with what we have right now, they show up as these numbers that we have today. But yeah, our retention rate is excellent. Okay. Going on to Butler.
All righty. Interestingly that we landed on this particular slide, but before we talk about the implementation of our Distraction-Free Kids Act, as we visited schools and worked alongside leaders, teachers, and staff, we not only watched them open doors to welcome staff and students, one thing was really clear, and that is they were not just ready to open the doors of the school building, but they were ready to open the possibilities for all of our students and our families. And so we begin this year with tremendous energy and excitement and confidence grounded in the progress that we've made last year. Together we did. Excited to share more about that later this week at our press conference. But our commitment really begins with cultivating learning environments where students are focused, connected, and distraction-free of their electronic devices. And our implementation certainly was intentional and student-centered, and as Dr. Watts indicated, it was not without a few bumps along the way. We actually provided a transition week for our students in grades 9 through 12 to make sure that our staff was prepared to support the implementation of this new policy. But we provided clear guidance. We continue to provide support and excited that what we've seen thus far has been promising and certainly has given us an opportunity to continue to provide some additional supports, which we all anticipated would be the case with the implementation of our Distraction-Free Kids Act. Just want to remind, again, our families as well that we have taken a very thoughtful approach, and we are committed to maintaining what is an expectation around no cell phones. But I also want to remind our families, our students, and our staff as well that what remains available are our district-provided technology for meaningful teaching and learning. And so as we continue to learn through this implementation, we are prioritizing how we deploy and identifying those additional technology tools to help continue to support teaching and learning in classrooms. So as we begin this year as well, excited to build on the significant momentum in student attendance. Last year, as you can see here, the work paid off from the attendance policy, from our attendance support teams, and this has been a collective effort not only with our staff, but certainly want to acknowledge the engagement of our families last year, but want to make sure that we communicate that the message remains clear every student, every day. We will continue to communicate the expectation and support our families because we know that consistent attendance creates the foundation for student well-being, learning, and long-term success. I would be remiss if I did not highlight this particular data point, and again, we'll share some more of those details here in our press conference, but want to highlight not only did we make an increase in our attendance, and I'll forego the details of what that means in terms of the 83.4%, and direct your attention to the bottom data point that we are exceeding in a chronic absent as compared to the state. And so a lot to celebrate in terms of our attendance, but we want to, again, remind our students and our staff that attendance remains a high priority, and excited to see during these first few weeks or first few days of school, our students show up. I'm going to jump just a bit and then invite Dr. Barnes to talk about the instructional readiness, but also want to celebrate, excited about our earliest learners. We have 69 pre-K classes and 3 sites that have 3-year-olds with the addition of our Charles Ellis Montessori primary classes, where we have our 3-year-olds who have joined our classes. And what's really exciting is that we have filled every single available pre-K seat, and that 1,300 seats have been filled, and we have 350 students on our wait list. What that means is if a student comes off, we have 350 students and families that are waiting to begin their learning journey here in Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. And so we are excited about our pre-K and also equally excited about our 3-year-olds. So that is our pre-K landscape. You heard Kurt mention that certainly we have our pre-K through 12, but excited about what is happening with our earliest learners as well, and our 3-year-olds, and I'll be sharing more about that throughout the year. At this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Barnes to share a little bit more about our instructional readiness.
I think Mr. Smith has a question.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I am especially excited about the pre-K portion. With the 350 students that we have on the wait list, do we have a plan of action to open up the ability or availability to our students and community?
So I think that's part of the long-term planning that's underway. We are remaining in contact with those families. We certainly hope that all of our students that are currently seated remain. What we know, however, is that there is some attrition that happens, and so we'll make sure that those families have a seat. But from a long-term planning success, that is underway. So we'll be very intentional in our planning to expand pre-K classrooms across our district. And I want to just note as well that has been part of our previous strategic plan to expand pre-K offerings, and that's what we have done over the last 2 years. Each year, we've added 2 pre-K classrooms, and so we have been able to fill each of those seats. But again, that's a part of our continued work to ensure that our earliest learners have an opportunity to begin their learning journey.
Of course. Tell me,
And if I can just add to what, this also is an excellent opportunity where our academics team collides with our long-term facility range plan. So as a part of expanding seats, we are also giving lots of thoughts and consideration to unused space and how we might leverage that space to open up more seats. This is also a good opportunity to think about other community initiatives that are also focused on early childhood and how we are partnering with those organizations and those programs to strengthen the number of seats. But I also want to underscore this year, and it's not on the slide as a data point, that there has been a tremendous amount of work, and I have to thank our pre-K leaders to also strengthen the instructional infrastructure. So it's not just about the number of kids, it's about the quality of the education that they are receiving. And there's just been a tremendous amount of work in that area. So I wanted to celebrate that as well.
Okay, Mrs. Smith, did you have something else?
just was curious, we do have pre-K opportunities in every one of our districts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Kowalski?
Can I just ask a procedural question? Because I've got questions that go back to Ms. Davidson that I've just been jotting down. Do we want to go through the presentation and then do questions, or do you want us to ask questions as we go along?
Actually, we've got time. Well, we can do as we go along.
As we go along. Okay, so can I ask a pre-K
If
question?
you'd like to go back to Ms. Davidson, it's fine.
Well, I'll go ahead, since we're on the pre-K.
Y'all were waiting, okay.
I did want to just dive, so absolutely thrilled to see we have 100% of our slots filled, because I don't know that we've had that.
In the last 3-4 years, correct?
Yeah, so that is amazing, and congratulations and kudos. Is the limitation physical space or state funding? So if we had the physical space, would we be able to get the state funding?
Yes, so there is a process for
Okay.
requesting those additional classes, certainly a timeline, usually early spring for us to request the additional classrooms. There are some scenarios, and you heard Dr. Watts mention from a facilities standpoint, that is something that we continue to look at in terms of available space at schools. But in terms of our ability to expand our classrooms, the process is we request that from the state, and it's generally approved if we have the available space in our district.
But we also have to augment the salary,
Right. It's only partially covered.
which
yet.
is
Yeah.
additional local funding
Sure.
is needed to do that.
18
Because
or 19
if I'm not mistaken,
I
and
know.
Mr. Ray may need to jump in, that the teacher position is not fully funded at the state level.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because that's a lot of students. Like, can we do anything this year to try and accommodate? Like, I hate for there to be 350 students out there who are ready to come to school, and we can't, like, and I know it's like outside of our budget and our current program, but even if it's just a transition to do something?
There is a lot of work also happening with other entities that
Yeah,
are
right,
focused
of
on
course.
pre-K, and I think there's a lot of collaboration and outreach. So us guiding families to those other entities is
Mm-hmm.
one action we can take. I'm not sure what else is happening at that.
Okay.
That is correct. So again, from a procedural standpoint, with DeCal, we have to make
Go through
the
that.
request early enough in the spring for funding purposes for the current fiscal year. So at this particular point, we would not be able to add those additional classes generally, and so that's part of the constraint at this particular time.
Do we do anything in this, sorry, last question. Do we do anything in the spring to try and gauge what the fall attendance is going to be to supplement that request?
Yes, we do. But again, as you know, over the last several years, while we've had a number of students on our wait list, we had available seats at specific schools.
Right.
What I want to highlight, and Dr. Watts mentioned this as well, I want to celebrate our team and our schools for really being intentional in engaging with our families and with our schools to make sure that we are filling those seats. And we know historically there have been seats at certain schools that have not been filled. But this is a part of sharing with families that all of our schools are places and spaces where we're going to support their development. And I think we've been very deliberate in that, which is why we're seeing all of our seats being filled for this school year.
Clearly, and it's fantastic, so great job.
Anyone else?
I'm not on pre-K.
Okay. Did you have a question or something before? That's already been presented. Go ahead.
I wanted to go back to the children from other countries.
Microphone.
Children from other countries. Could we go back? What was that number?
72.
72, okay. How are we looking to their welfare in terms of language barriers? Do we have translators? How are we dealing with that so that their entry is going to be successful for them?
Yeah, so that is a collaborative effort of our ESOL department. As you may recall, Dr. Watts created a department whose focus is to provide support for our students and families. And we have our bilingual liaisons who work very closely with our schools to provide those kind of services and supports to families, but also from our student support services team as well to make sure that those families have the necessary resources and the guidance as they transition into our district, but also just throughout the school year as well. So there are a number of wraparound supports. Excited to also share about how our student support services departments are now coordinating more effectively to triage and identify those students who need those additional supports. But yes, all of those supports are in place. As soon as they register, those families are identified, and our teams are working very closely to make sure that their transition is a smooth transition into the district.
Okay. And maybe these 72 children are all fluent English speakers. I don't know. I would like us to pin this and stay on it because there's nothing worse than to think of a child sitting in a classroom who doesn't speak English and they're just sitting there lost. So I don't know what team.
That is our
this under?
ESOL department led by Dr. Gomez-Crow. And just from a
Okay.
procedural standpoint, those families and those students are screened at the beginning of the year. In fact, we're getting ready to begin that process here in the next few days to determine if those additional services are needed. And of course, those families also have the option to accept those services, but that process begins after the first few days of school. So that would be applicable to those families and those students of whose language is not English as a primary language.
So, Mr. Butler, do we have any particular schools that are outstanding in terms of their international population where the things are in place to facilitate all of this more easily than, others and I guess we don't need to get into the weeds, but those two things, that pre-K, those 350 kids I'm thinking about sitting at home who should be in front of a teacher, and then these kids this could be a real opportunity for us to become more of a beacon for international, it's a wonderful opportunity. And I just want to make sure we're giving the resources, as a board, that we're giving the resources to Mrs. Crow to do what she needs to do to get things moving.
And just as a brief response, yes, we have schools whose enrollment has generally had a large number of ESOL students and families who do a tremendous job. Many of our elementary schools on the west side of Chatham County, and so we generally leverage their support to help support some of our other schools. But more to come in terms of our enrollment numbers, which is another conversation. But yes, we do have some schools who, for the last several years, obviously has been able to navigate this really well, and we use them as a model for some of our other schools.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Yes, I want to make a comment regarding, it's probably not for you, Mr. Butler, HVAC. Because we used to have HVAC maintenance, and those contracts expired. So we know that the systems are very sophisticated. So do we have qualified people on staff to be able to work on those, on HVAC? If not, why did we let the contracts expire when we had qualified people to ensure that they were maintained?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. So first of all, we do have a strong qualified team. We are utilizing vendors to help because it's just so many buildings across the district. So we do have HVAC contracts as well that we utilize, and we've had those vendors out in our schools as well as our HVAC team has been out in our schools. So when you say the contract is expired, I'd have to get a little bit more information because we do have current contracts with HVAC vendors right now that have been in our schools.
Because there's so many schools that are hot. So do we need more people to assist with that? Or, I mean, how can we resolve this? We've invested a significant amount of funding in the HVAC.
We have, yes, ma'am. So we are working with the ALC system, getting that going. I believe that came before the board in July, possibly, so that we can monitor the temperatures across the district and be more proactive with those opportunities. We also are just utilizing our vendors and our staff. We'll have to go back and reassess if additional staff members are needed. But we are taking in all the tickets, all the data, and tracking, and it's been unfortunately very warm. So,
and we used to have the Georgia Power contract when they would come out and help assist, and then if we did everything that we were to do and exceeded the amount in the utility bill, they would reimburse us. But that expired too. Have we considered, going back to that method with the Georgia Power?
I have not looked into the Georgia Power one, but I'll take a note on that.
It was a performance. Y'all don't remember that?
We'll look into it.
Okay. Ms. Grabowski.
Sorry. All right, so since we're on Ms. Davidson, for the transportation pilot, glad to hear it's going well and look forward to hearing how it continues to go. Someone asked me about, or raised a question to me about students. I know that there's a requirement for parents to be there to make sure that their child gets on the bus for that transportation. What about students who walk or bike to catch that pilot shuttle? Are they allowed to walk or bike to the pilot shuttle and then be dismissed from the shuttle to walk or bike home like they would a bus stop?
That's a great question. Let me go back and work with Ms. Mills. I believe that is a strong possibility. I just want to make sure from a principal standpoint, other pieces that and campus police, that we've accounted for our walkers. Okay. But thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I just don't want us to do anything that, inadvertently discourages that activity. So thank you for that. And then on the question on the distraction-free devices, sorry. So we knew we were going to learn things through this process, and one of the things that we learned is, and I will admit, I think through all this conversation and everything, I was always thinking about cell phones and not really thinking as much about that this legislation means that students also can't bring their own iPads or computers or whatever else, and we have seen, right, what has happened, that in more advanced classes or specialized classes like digital art, where students have traditionally brought their iPads, that's a challenge. And I want to commend Dr. Watts and the team for quickly resolving that challenge that faced us and looking not only to provide those resources for the one school who raised the question, but for all of the classes across the district. That is so important, and I just wanted to elevate that and make the entire board aware of the proactive steps that the board, or that the administration took to address that concern. I know it's going to continue to be a challenge, and we had a conversation when there was the Chromebook purchase that Dr. Watts mentioned that she put a hold on to make sure that our technology was, in fact, what we needed. And it really dovetails those two separate items into one. But it makes me think that particularly for our high schools, I can't imagine that our legislators, when they adopted that state legislation, intended it to limit our students' ability to utilize other technologies that can better enhance particular skills. So I don't know, and I think this is a broader conversation and not one that's going to be solved today, but I don't know if we may want to reach out to our legislators to raise this issue, because I think particularly at the high school level, when those students are transitioning into college, to limit the ability to expand their experiences on other technologies and potentially hinder that learning experience. And I know we would have to address, students who couldn't afford to bring their own technology, absolutely. But I just think it's a real policy issue that, because that piece of the legislation doesn't, from a state perspective, take effect until the next year, I would really like for us as a board to think about if that's something that we want to reach out to our local delegation and raise that as an issue.
I have asked Mr. Hediger to look closely at the legislation. I just did a quick Google search yesterday. I think, but I'm going to let him confirm for me, that it does allow for exemptions for principal or district discretion. I think it may already allow for that,
Okay.
But again, that was a quick Google search in the car, not a deep dive at the
Because
legislation.
I read it. I mean, I went and looked up the legislation, and I read it, and it's very specific, and I'm glad you're doing that, absolutely, and we'll look forward to hearing back from Mr. Hediger and our legal team if needed. But it looked like the exemptions were more for medical or IEP, and I just don't want us to run afoul if it's something we can proactively address.
Correct. And I think, and I appreciate you lifting that up. There are certainly some exemptions for our students who may need that through their IEP or any other medical conditions, and those are things that we are responding to. And we're also building in those additional processes for other exemptions that may not necessarily fall within cleanly in that category. But this is a large body of work that we are embracing. And as we learn from those scenarios, we're building some systems and some structures so that all of our teachers and our staff are aware of what that means in terms of how we leverage technology. But there are some commitments that the board certainly will need to consider as we move forward. But part of our team, along with Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Robinson, we are sort of engaging in the larger sort of technology committee to really examine how we move forward. So,
Ms. Hall.
First of all, if there's any other board member, I've already had a turn, so anybody else who wanted to say something, I'll wait. Okay. No, I'm just saying. All right, so my two things are probably, I guess, for either Dr. Watts or Mr. Ray. In terms of teacher vacancies, do we have in place the capacity to hire provisional teachers? Teachers who have a college degree, they don't have the Georgia certificate as of yet, but they can work as they get that certification. That's how I started in Chicago. I didn't have one education course, but they needed teachers so badly that they had this whole structure of provisionals, and I think I had like 2 years to get my full certification. So is that in place?
Yes, I'll respond to that. Thank you, Ms. Hall. I think as a alternative pathway teacher myself, when I came into this district. We still have continued to do that. So non-traditional people who are not going through education, the majority of our teachers that we hire are not formally coming through an education pathway. That's why you see many of our classified employees that come, because we're going through what we have internally, we have our GTAP program. So internally we have a GTAP program where we're able to certify staff that did not come into traditional pathway and want to be teachers. So that's what we have internally, and we also have a strategic waiver. So you'll see a lot of it on our CTAE side, where we have a lot of the cosmetology or barbering or all of those different pathways. They're not traditional pathways, and they're able to come into the district as teachers. And for those teachers that need time, yes, we do have strategic waivers where we're allowing teachers to have, I think it's up to 3 years, depending on what the certification, whatever Georgia PSC does to some degree. But also, we will allow people that pathway to come into the district, just like our charter schools do, by the way.
So, Mr. Ray, do we publicize that? Is that public knowledge that we're looking for college graduates who are interested in working towards a certification, but who could be working right now?
Yes, we have alternative pathway programs about 4 times a year where we're publicizing to try to get people to understand the opportunities in our district. Oftentimes, we'll find people that come to those events that are certified. This happened to be certified in a different state and didn't realize, well, they didn't know how to navigate certification in Georgia. So those are good opportunities for us, too, to be able to say, no, you're good. You're already good right now. So we do that about 4 times a year. And when we advertise our postings, we don't have certification as required. We have it as recommended. And that's the reason for we need to see what you have. Because somebody has a social studies certification and try to teach social studies, that might work. Social studies background in education, that might work for them to be a social studies teacher. So yeah, we've had those opportunities open for a long time, and we continue to expand it. When we did the strategic waiver in 2016, I guess, we expanded even further. That's why you see a lot of those CTAE program teachers that are in our district now too.
All right. And my other question is about Pooler and Bloomingdale. Are the children from Pooler, are they contained at Bloomingdale as Pooler Elementary, so they have their own uniforms and teachers, and the principal is there for them, and then Bloomingdale has its principal, or are they all,
I will let Dr. Barnes speak to that, but I will say I was there on the first day of school, and you could not tell a Bloomingdale student from a Pooler student, and it was beautiful.
Oh, okay, so that's our intent to
Well, I don't know if it was
together.
our intent or not, but I saw just kids in school. And there wasn't, I just didn't see a lot of division.
So like, what happened to the Pooler principal?
He's still there.
He's still their principal.
He is there.
Yeah, he's there.
But
But
okay.
again, all the concern did not seem to be playing itself out on the first day of school, but I'll certainly
Okay,
yield.
all right.
Yeah, so that configuration is going extremely well. The planning that took place prior to that between those two principals was remarkable. And that was, I think, the success strategy that the two principals were lockstep with one another. And so they planned out every detail with Pooler transitioning over to Bloomingdale. The Bloomingdale principal, Mr. Lamb, he was very intentional about bringing Mr. Waters in. They sat down with the building map and said, okay, we're going to pick these rooms out. They went through every nook and cranny, opening their schools procedures, just as if it was one principal in the building. So they did everything seamless, and it's going well. Parents feel comfortable with that configuration right now. Students have just gone into a natural flow of things. Pooler has its actual hall in the school, and Bloomingdale has it. And then once the renovation of Pooler Elementary is completed, I don't think we'll have any reservation with parents remaining there at Bloomingdale. They just feel right at home pretty quickly on the first week of school.
Okay, Ms. Campbell?
Yeah, and I wanted to commend Dr. Waters and Mr. Lamb on this, because the first morning, as kids were getting off the bus, they had staff everywhere, just making sure kids didn't look lost. It was a little tricky because the school uniform shirts are the same color, so we were trying to figure out.
That's one of the reasons why
we need a logo or something. But it was very smooth, and they even incorporated all of the grade levels together. They didn't keep them so isolated. You know, I think at New Hampstead, we had to do that with Bloomingdale for a while, so they were out of the way and on their own wing. But this is just seamless. Like, all the kindergartners and pre-Kers are together. And so it has been amazing, and I heard very good things from teachers, too, about their experience from Pooler Elementary to Bloomingdale.
Okay, I guess I'm a little dense. I'm still trying to figure out. So if I go into the second grade wing, all the second graders are there, all the second graders. If she's from Bloomingdale and I'm from Pooler, are we in the same classroom?
No, ma'am.
Or am I, that we're not?
No, ma'am.
I'm in the Pooler classroom with my Pooler teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's in the Bloomingdale, but we're all on the second grade
Yes,
wing.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Howard Hall.
So the supervision of the teachers in Pooler still is the responsibility of the principal of Pooler, Mr. Waters, and the supervision of the students and the teachers of Bloomingdale is still the responsibility of Mr. Lamb. So they still function as two schools in one building, but they just work very collaboratively together because they know eventually, you know, that's what's going to happen.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Yes, due to the decrease in enrollment for some of our schools, they are being informed that they're losing teachers. What is the process of deciding which teacher needs to transfer? Is it the last hired, or it depends on the position? And also, are those transfers, could those transfers be used as to fill vacancies in areas where they don't have any teachers?
Now, is this for the Pooler Bloomingdale scenario or this current situation?
No, we're all over the place because we're asking different questions.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into the 10-day count and leveling situation, and I'm going to lean to Mr. Ray to talk about the displacement process, but that will be a collective decision between the Office of School Leadership, our Finance Department, and Human Resources, but we will follow the district's displacement process. Mr. Ray?
Yes, to answer the question, we will, as Dr. Barnes mentioned, we'll meet together to determine the outcome. Chip, for the most part, it'll always be seniority that drives the teachers that end up getting displaced, but there are obviously exceptions to everything. But that's the general rule, is that it will be seniority, and we'll make those determinations about seniority at the school. Did I answer your question, Dr. Howard?
Well, I guess would that work the same in a high school depending upon subject areas?
Yeah, so we don't determine the subject area. So for example, if a high school is losing a teacher at 12th grade, the principal would tell us what content area, and then within that content area, we look to see what teacher has the least seniority in that content area. At elementary, if it's at grade 3, we're looking at all the elementary teachers, for example, in that school.
Okay. And Mr. Barnes, I don't know if I'll ask this question. It's not really on here. What are we doing for the well-being of teachers? I know that they have the collaborative planning, and sometimes, say in a block, they have collaborative planning in the first block, then they go immediately into other blocks to teach with no bathroom breaks, maybe a 10-minute lunch break, and no personal planning time, and that's really a recipe for teacher burnout. So how can we fix that? Because that's literally going on in some cases, that they leave the planning straight into teaching blocks without any breaks in between.
There's no textbook answer for that, but I was sitting here thinking, that is a planning thing that what we've asked principals to do, and we were very intentional around laying out the planning structures this year, and actually that's what I was going to talk about on our next slide. And so to hear that that is happening, it means that we have an operational challenge that could be happening in that school in terms of either not holding tight to the planning agenda time frame that would allow people to leave planning in time enough to be able to, do personal things such as go to the bathroom, what have you. But we should not have scenarios where collaborative planning is happening 5 days a week and teachers have no planning times.
It's not 5 days a week, but on those 2 or 3 days, that's when it's happening. And every day a teacher deserves to have the same lunch break and
Right. Yeah.
as the non-teaching positions, because non-teaching positions, they have a lunch break and everything else they want to have, but the teachers are the ones that's really suffering at an early.
It would be helpful if we knew specifics on that. So if you're aware of teachers that are experiencing that, it is better for me to know those specific schools so I can observe exactly what's taking place and be able to provide the right guidance to correct those things. But as a high-level response, teachers should not be deprived of the ability to use restroom or
But maybe
go to
not the
lunch.
restroom, but if you're in collaborative block and then you go immediately into your next 3 blocks, there's no lunch break in there.
That's correct.
So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
needs to be some type of way to ensure that on those collaboration days that they do have a lunch break.
Right.
And
Yeah.
on collaboration days, teachers don't have the opportunity to have their own planning time. Sometimes you need to wind down and plan. And I know we have to document hours and, you know, so it's just something we might need to look into.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Grabowski.
Going back to the reduction in force, we just updated our policy on that recently, correct?
Yes, but this is not a reduction in force, though. But
Okay.
yes, we did update the reduction in force policy.
Do similar criteria apply to when we are losing position? Because if I recall correctly, one of the things that we strengthened in that revised policy was looking more at performance than we have
Yes.
historically.
Yes.
But are we
And that's
also
for-
looking at performance when we are losing teachers due to student count?
We're not losing teachers. We're not
Losing
losing
teachers.
teachers. They're just being transferred to other schools.
To other schools, okay.
So it's not a reduction in force. It's just
Okay.
a movement of
A
employees.
movement of employees. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Please. Continue.
So, the next part of school opening was our instructional readiness, a topic that we are all very excited about. Significant amount of work was gone into planning for a strong instructional infrastructure and readiness for teaching literacy, mathematics, and other content areas this year. We have a continued focus on our literacy plan grounded in the science of reading. A lot of deep work was done around unpacking standards and how to use the HMH resources to really provide high-quality instruction for students on day one. Part of that work was to revamp our collaborative planning structures as to what teachers need to do in terms of pre-work before going into the actual planning session. And in doing that, that would allow the teachers to have an opportunity to be more prepared for collaborative planning, which collaborative planning shouldn't be such an intensive time of planning, but it became the time to really look at what are the highlights of this lesson that we need to practice before going live in front of students. So all of the prep work shouldn't be happening during that day of collaborative planning, and teachers are being bombarded with all the heavy lift. Like there was some pre-work that will allow them to forethink some things, collaborative planning, that time within the module, they can do some practicing around key components of the lesson, and then implement that when going live in front of students. I'm very excited about the adoption of our math textbook. We know that these new resources will allow us to teach the actual rigor of the standards for the state of Georgia at a higher level. The spirit behind both HMH and the math adoption is to make sure that we have students having a baseline experience for high-quality texts, same types of activities that meets the demand of the state standards. What that allows us to do now is to have a more district-focused assessment system where we are assessing standards, and we know that students have been exposed to state standards and use similar resources to be able to prepare them for those particular objectives of the state standards. We also know that this gives us an opportunity to look at what students are doing well on. So if we had to pivot to say what resources are not doing well, we know exactly how to dial it back to get to those particular areas of concern. So we're very excited about those two things. Those things are going well with teachers having been prepped on it this summer. They spent a lot of time on professional development and their pre-service on really getting their fingers onto the actual resources, understanding those resources. What does this look like in a planning session? What does an instructional block look like? Then also our administrators had an opportunity to get their fingers. What does this look like in a planning session? What does an instructional block look like? Then also our administrators had an opportunity to get their fingers onto the resources to say, what are the look forwards now when you're going into an actual lesson into the classroom so that people are not lost. We are pretty much grounded in the same lens of how we're looking at teaching and learning for literacy and mathematics through these two resources. School transformation. Very excited about that. I'm glad some of you were able to attend our no nonsense nurturing professional development, which focuses on really ramping up student engagement in our schools. So excited about how that is getting off the ground. As we know that there are still growth points, so we're going to continue to refine our practices there. But I'm very excited about those principals that have jumped into the schools, started digging through, asking probing questions, and want to find out, okay, what are the things that we need to do to make the school take it to the next level? And they have taken it with an optimistic and a very asset leadership disposition. They're not going in with a deficit mindset. And so it has been very exciting to see that work in play. And then the early childhood piece, I think there was a significant amount of discussion around that. So we are excited to have our pre-K, all our pre-K student seats filled. Take any questions? Thank you.
Continue.
All right, good morning. From a technology perspective, we had a very successful opening of school. As you imagine, the first week of school, technology is very, very busy. We had almost 1,900 technology support desk requests come through, a little over 1,200 inbound calls during the week. Most of the tickets and calls were due to account issues, password resets, ClassLink login issues, as we expected it to be. In regards to our network availability, we only had 9 incidents in regards to network issues, which were resolved very quickly, but no district-wide disruptions to the network at all. As we progressed throughout the week, those calls, of course, declined, and we're able to get school rolling as promised, as we believe it would be. So that's all for me.
Ms. Grabowski.
Can you talk about the process of how, so I know we have to update our Chromebooks periodically. What does that process look like from a school receiving the hardware? Like, how much is required of the school when they receive that hardware before they can distribute those devices to students?
So are you saying preparing the Chromebooks for the students?
Yes. Or do they come like ready to go and the school distributes them?
When they initially arrive to the schools, they are ready to go, ready to be logged into. However, if the devices are already in the school, generally the media specialists take out the time to where they go through and kind of power wash, what they call power wash all the devices. And sometimes they enlist the help of our staff as well to do some of that work to get those ready.
Is that typically done at the end of the previous school year, or is that done at the beginning of the new school year?
It depends on the school. Many of them do it before the school year ends. Some of them may wait until the beginning. So we haven't gotten, I should say, it depends on the media specialist at the school. It's on their discretion.
I know that there was a school that received like 200 new Chromebooks, like the first day of school, and those weren't distributed until like the third day. And it seems like all of that could be addressed proactively so that, I mean, so that on day one, and I don't know if that's something that needs to be addressed, you know, at the district level, but I would really like for us to be where day one, we have and I know students change and numbers change, but the limitation shouldn't be on prepping the hardware to give to the students. If there's something that we can do next year to maybe be more proactive in making sure that we have all our technology ready to go on day one. And I mean, this happens every year, that we see Chromebooks aren't ready to go. So if that's something that we could look at for next year.
Yes, we're definitely looking into that all throughout the year. We want to make sure, we really want to streamline the process for every campus
Yeah.
to where everyone knows that on this date, these devices are ready to go, on the first day of school, ready to go. Then also keep in mind too, not all schools distribute devices on the first day. So we're looking into all of those things to see if we can get those things more collaborated throughout.
Okay. Or whatever day they distribute them. But, you
Whatever
know,
day.
when you've got students who have homework to do and they can't do it, that, you know, from the very beginning of the school year, we need to.
Dr. Brinkman?
Yeah, I was going to try to make it not saying anything during this whole presentation, but I feel like that's a school and a teacher issue, not a district issue, because the teacher shouldn't be giving out homework unless
But when you've got advanced curriculum, you can't afford to wait 3 days to start giving out homework. Like, you can't, like, that's
But we
not
can't
fair.
put but we
Well-
can't put a student in a bad position because somebody else didn't get the Chromebook to them. So that.
I agree.
That needs to be a principal-teacher issue there. But and we as a board then need to tell the district that it is our policy, if we want it to be, I would be against it, that all Chromebooks and all technology are given out on day one. That is not, I do not believe currently a mandate or anything like that. Certain
may not be
schools say,
necessary at all
certain schools say
Yeah.
that X, Y, or Z is the date they're going to hand it out. But that seems like, yes, I understand advanced curriculum and stuff like that, but the teacher pivot. Don't force a student to get a
And I'm
bad
not
grade
saying
because.
let me clarify. I'm not saying any teacher force any student to
okay.
do anything. I'm sorry if it came across that way. I'm saying this, you know, I want to set our students up for success from day one and our teachers as well. And I think a way that we can do that as a district is just help and maybe standardize is the wrong word, because some schools might have a good reason for waiting until week 2, especially if you're elementary school, like, that's fine. But consistency and readiness, I guess, is the takeaway.
Yes.
I just am fine with the schools doing it how they want to release it, but I get you, because, yeah.
This is a both-and scenario. We definitely see place where we can standardize distribution of devices, our deployment of those devices, making sure that they're in our schools in a timely manner. I think there's room for that. And then there's also room for flexibility. So for me, it's a both-and situation.
So, I know, right? So I want to go back, way back, to our discussion about the. Way back, we got time. About the distraction-free legislation. One of the things, I know that we just did an audit on technology, and I just want us to make sure, yes, Chromebooks, but also there's some software that's very necessary for some of these programs, and are we doing like an audit of that so we know going into next year, you know, if you have a digital art class, we're going to need this software, so that we are providing that. So the kids, and this is not just for Savannah, it's for any school, making sure that that the software that's necessary for those classes is available to all the kids.
So it's not just software, it's also hardware.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
both. And one of the things that I asked Chief Robinson to do this year is a deep dive and a reimagining of what our one-to-one technology looks like. I think my understanding is that Chromebooks were distributed at a time when COVID was happening. We had to get devices deployed to every child. This is a new environment. I don't necessarily know that we need one-to-one K-2 developmentally. Is that appropriate? I'm also very cognizant of the fact that a Chromebook is a $300 device, which is great for some things, but when you are in high school, I don't know that a $300 device is preparing you for college. I've never seen a Chromebook used in college. I don't know that a Chromebook will accommodate all the programs. We just had a conversation about Procreate and the use of iPads. You know, my son was a graphic arts student. He was using an iPad and Procreate 8 years ago when he was a junior in high school. And 8 years ago, and now, fast forward, we're just having that discussion. And so we may need to think about, is a Chromebook the right device for high school kids? But we need to stop and do that deep dive before we just press on with another refresh and repeat a deployment of Chromebooks. So I don't know if you want to add to that, but that's one of Chief Robinson's big rocks for this year.
Yes. So part of our response to that is the creation of a technology user group to address those concerns, to have those conversations that are across the district. It includes not only central administration, but also principals, teachers who will be involved in having those conversations to make sure that we'll address those issues and what do we do, and what I coin as life after ESSER. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. And to bring it home, Mr.
Yes, to wrap it up. Speaking of technology, as we were chatting here, I did have an opportunity to look a little closer at HB 1009, which was the extension of that Distraction-Free Education Act to 912. There's really no specific provision that provides an exception for instructional use in the classroom. It's very clear that that devices are prohibited on school grounds. That's stated throughout. And there is a language in there that does say nothing in this language shall prohibit school districts from purchasing their own technology for instructional use in the related classroom. But the key thing is that would be district-owned and it would be managed appropriately through our device components. So we'll continue to put some eyeballs on that with the legal team, but right now those are the key things that are standing out on the Distraction-Free Kids Act.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Hall.
Mr. Hediger, I don't know if you're the wrap-up guy, but before things wrap up, I'd like to hear from Chief Washington about the safety, you know, what's going on.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Hall.
If that's, I don't know if that was part of the agenda.
Yeah, we were going to cover engagement and then pitch it to safety, but we'll allow Assistant Chief.
Please wait then. I just wanted to be sure we got to
Very
that.
good. Yes, we'll give you. We'll finish it out with safety, as that is obviously a key priority of the school district. As you can see on your screen, we were very busy with engagement and communication prior to the beginning of the school year. Certainly love to commend the public affairs team and the great work we did in our communications and our engagement and outreach team for getting information out early and really restating it often. I can't remember in recent years as much information as we really needed to share before the start of this school year with new information on grading practices, changes in the student code of conduct, the Distraction-Free Kids Act and how we're going to manage personal devices, and that in tandem with all of the regular things like getting ready for back to school, open house dates, school uniform information, school supplies. All of that was very well communicated through a wealth of our communication channels. Obviously, the website is our primary mode of communication, and our back to school hub was something that was visited quite often, and we were able to use a lot of social media to push folks back to that as a key resource. So a lot of great work, and of course we invite folks to stay engaged with us throughout the school year. A lot of communication channels that we offer through our public affairs team. We've got a podcast that is very engaging, has some great information to share. We regularly update that content, so follow us on your favorite streaming devices or channels and listen to After the Bell. A lot of great video productions that you see out there. Great work by Ken Slatz, our videographer and producer of the district videos. He did a couple on the cell phones and the information on the Distraction-Free Kids Act, which was really helpful. And I will say that when we posted the first video about the 912 Distraction-Free Kids Act, within about a day, we had over 30,000 views on Instagram. Within a few days after that, before the school started, we were up to 100,000 views on Instagram with that one video piece. Very interesting data point, too. As you know, when we get home and we start to scroll a little bit, we spend about 5 to 10 seconds on some material and then move on to something else. Well, that particular piece that we put out had an average view time of 22 seconds. So that tells us how quickly that content was grabbed and shared and communicated widely, and that was our goal. So a lot of work that was done in advance of the school year to get ready for that. Of course, we want to remind all of our individuals out there who may be watching right now, and anyone who's interested in engaging with the school system, become involved as a volunteer. That's through our VISTA program. That's volunteers in schools that are targeting achievement. That is VISTA, and we ask you to sign up and get registered as a volunteer and help out a school in the way that works best for you. And of course, if you'd like to be a business partner, you can sign up through our school district website as well. Our engagement and outreach team hands out these fancy buttons, and I wear it all the time. So you can scan me and find out how to become a business partner, and that'll take you directly to our website, and another way to stay engaged through the multiple ways that we communicate and also work to stay engaged with our public. So again, kudos to the great work of our public affairs team in getting ready for the beginning of the school year. One of the things that we were very thoughtful on in the way that we communicate is safety and security. We also did our annual AAA press conference with Drive Safe, which reminded families of all of the students that will be coming back to school, whether they're riding a bus, walking, or riding a bike. We did that in tandem with our Board of Public Education Police Department, and we also had some great information shared this year to talk about the new security badges that all staff are wearing. This was a requirement of state law that this was instituted by June 1st. We met that deadline. It was a great example of cross-functional work between our capital projects team and our Board of Public Education police teams to get these little units out that provide a great level of safety in our schools. And with that, I'll ask our Assistant Chief, George Washington, to come to the podium, provide you some safety and security updates, subject to any questions that the board may have.
We have a question, Mr. Katchmark.
I now understand why I got a flood of emails, calls, and text messages shortly after that video came out, which is fine, which is exactly the purpose of that video. So kudos to our communication efforts and team. We have ramped up the team and efforts over the years, and y'all do a great job. People in the community have commented as well. So this is not a criticism or a negative. This is an opportunity for more growth. I still hear from people in the district who ask me about what's going on, and I start telling them, and they're like, wow, that's fantastic. Y'all need to get that message out. And so it got me thinking, between your comments today and the agenda item we have today about communications, do we allow people to enter your email so you can sign up for blasts that Stacy's nodding her head yes? That's good information. We need to get that piece out as well. If you want to sign up for our blasts, please click here or link here, make that top top of the website, and you're probably going to tell me it already is, and I should go look. But I think that would be a good resource for us to send out to the chamber, community groups, neighborhood groups, religious organizations, et cetera, so we can get the word out not just to parents and staff, but the broader community. And if we do that already and I didn't know it, shame on me. We just need to advertise it more. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll ask Ms. Jennings if she could make her way to the podium. She's coming a little slow. As Ms. Jennings makes her way, I do want to remind everyone on the screen, you'll see our Telling Our Story newsletter. So that is done monthly, and that's really that place where you can sign up and get that type of information. It's a great resource for the community at large.
I'll go back to my seat now because that's what I was about to say. The email blast that we send for parents comes from Power School. So if you are not a parent, you can't sign up for Power School. You have to have a student in the district to be able to get a Power School account. You can sign up for our Telling Our Story newsletter, which we publish once a month. It includes, as you all know, board briefs. It includes stories that have appeared in other media. And we do have a growing list. That list started out, when I started at the district, you made me start doing that, and it was, I think we had about 150 what we called key influencer names. That list is now up over 600 people. We add the Leadership Savannah list every year, and people are regularly signing up. As many people as sign up often drop off because they've moved jobs or they've changed, so people can receive that information. Thank you for the opportunity to say that we can do a better job with that, and we'd love to. It's an award-winning newsletter. We've been recognized 3 years in a row with a top honor from the NSPRA, the National School Public Relations Association. I did want to mention I was trying to get over here, but I'm hobbled, but to tell y'all, we have an app. So sign up for our app, download the app. You will get a notification every time we post a story on seccpss.com. You can sign up for your specific schools if you want to choose the schools, or you can sign up just for the district news. But we do have an app. It is connected to our website, so anytime a school publishes a story, if you are signed up for that school, you will get a notification. And if you're anything like me, every day I go through must clear notifications. I got to get that little red dot off my app. So everyone, please sign up for our app, and please follow us on our social media. Follow us and share that information. Help us work the algorithm. If we publish it on our social media, and people share it, it brings more people to our feed. And we purposely post our stories to link back to our website. And if folks get to our website, they will find a wealth of information about the great things that are happening in the district. I invite you all to come to Comms Camp next Tuesday at Port Wentworth. We are bringing something that Ms. Blanco has been trying to do since I started at the district. One of the very first things she said to me was, we need to teach our schools how to communicate better. And she's been trying this for 6 years, and thank you to Dr. Taylor, who championed this idea for us. As Dr. Watts has talked about a baseline experience for our schools, we want a baseline experience for our websites. That is the way people communicate today, that and this little computer in their pocket. So we want to make sure we're giving our school communicators, our school leaders, better tools and better ways to communicate. We believe that's the front door to the school as much as any other way people can get in the school. If they don't have their information on the website, people aren't going to find it. Search engines are not going to find that information. It doesn't matter. We heard feedback sessions for the strategic plan where parents told us, I don't do social media. If it gets posted on Facebook, I'm not going to see it until after the fact. And then other ones said, email me a flyer, please. I do all my email on my phone. Don't send me an attachment. I just want the information. Send me to your website. We heard that, so we're going to use that day, next Tuesday at Port Wentworth, to give our school communicators. It's called Comms Camp. It's going to be great fun. We're going to have s'mores. We're going to have name tags. We're going to have stickers, merit badges. Going to be great fun, and they would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Ms. Hall, stay a minute, Stacy.
I've asked for several years that board member names be put on school websites. I get so many calls from District 7, from District 8, and as a board member, I don't want to take the lead on something. You know, most things I just send on to Dr. Watts, but that's a simple thing to add. Sean Cashmore is the board member for Islands High School, Coastal Middle, Marsh Point. Is there some reason we have not done that? Instead of, someone having to go through everything to find out who their board member is.
I am not sure the answer to that question, Ms. Hall, but thank you for giving me a chance to find out. We'll have an answer back for you as quickly as we can.
Well,
There-
even better than the answer would be, Johnson High School, Cornelia Hall,
Very open to that, unless
Yeah.
there's some legal reason.
Yeah, unless there's some legal reason, we should be able to find a solution for
All
that.
right.
We have a list of the schools by your district on the board member page, and that's not, it's too many clicks. And as Dr. Watts is about to hit my point, if people can't get to it in 3 clicks, then we're not doing our job. So we'll look for a solution
Thank
for
you.
you, Ms. Hall, and make
Appreciate
sure we
that.
do that, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Grabowski.
Since this door's been open. But thank you, Mr. Maybe, just sit, maybe there at the front, Stacy. So I know we have the agenda item on this afternoon, which I'm very grateful for, and Ms. Blanco told me about the comms camp at the ribbon cutting for Jacob G. And as Ms. Campbell pointed out, I have been on the soapbox since I joined the board about the website, so I am super excited to see us moving in that direction. And I will, so the newsletter, I've seen the Telling Our Story, but I will tell you that, like, I'm in Power School, and I don't recall getting it through that. Maybe it's just me, or maybe I've missed it somehow.
That does not come through Power School. Telling Our Story comes through an individual mail list, an email list that is maintained. There are also sorts of can spam that you have to have for that sort of
Right.
application. So while you're not on, you as a board member should be on that list.
So, yeah, I mean, I get it as a board member, but I think this is, and I just went to, and I didn't know that people could sign up for it. And so I went to our website, and I think that, again, there's opportunities for growth and promotion here to, people are used to seeing, like, enter your email address here, and we have, click the bell icon in the top right-hand corner to subscribe, and the bell icon is microscopic. So we have got to be more upfront, and that needs to be on the homepage. Click here to, or whatever. So I don't mean this as critical, but
Yeah,
we
we can-
can't bury information
We
when
can-
we're working so hard and doing such amazing work to get it out there. And I would love to see, and I know this is more work, and the Telling Our Story is great. It's very in-depth, which is fabulous, but as Kurt just mentioned, people have short attention spans. So if there's a way to send it as a synopsis, people can hit the high points and then link to the additional information to take the deep dive if they want. But, I mean, the PDF, the electronic flip book is beautiful. Most people are just not going to take the time to go through that, and it's beautiful work, and it's well-deserved award-winning work. And so if there's a way to have a one-page synopsis that allows someone to go to that, maybe,
Yeah,
'cause
I'd
it's
say-
too much great work to not be seen.
One of the challenges we run into is the moment someone says that you talk too much, give me less, and be more concise. Someone else says you don't tell us enough.
That's where you got to give.
So there's our balance point. And I'll give you an
We love
example
to
of that
complain.
through the Telling Our News Story newsletter. We do a recap of the board actions in the very first page of that in a summary format as one part of that newsletter. But I will say there's a lot of great things going on to our great benefit, and that creates its own unique challenge. But that's why we do that newsletter. But we don't want anyone to walk away thinking that is something that is tied to or to conflate it with the parent notification system. The parent notification system is our way to engage with parents and give them key information about the school district. We certainly can give them an opportunity to sign up for this newsletter. And if they want to do that through that notification system in a marketing type of email that we can do as an engagement component, we'll add that to our schedule of communications. But we try to keep parent notifications to very important district level initiatives and emergencies, but we'll allow them to sign up in that way. So a lot of great information that was provided today. I know we still want to hear from Assistant Chief Washington.
I know that Dr. Howard Hall had a question, and then Mr. Washington, please.
My question is non-related to everything that you've been talking about. It's a follow-up question to Ms. Davis, and you can just maybe do some homework on it. How much are we saving with the solar panels on Groves High School? I just would like to know that.
To the penny.
All right, Assistant Chief George Washington to bring us home.
Good morning. I guess I'm the wrap-up man now. So 10 months ago when I showed up here, you guys were already into the school year. What I've heard from this school year, it's been the best one in the last 4 or 5 years as we started school. I'm glad to say that our first week, it was really smooth. It was so smooth that it was scary. We had a few issues with traffic at New Hampstead area, both K-8 and the high school area, and also Bloomingdale. But our partners came through for us. They supported us, helped us with traffic, and that kind of settled things down. As we go into the second week, and we've been down the second week over Wednesday, we've had a couple skirmishes, nothing real big. We had a fight at Groves, I believe, and one at Beach. But there were no charges brought on that. It was handled administratively. We also had some video that we wanted to make available to you guys that we took with our drone, but our drone broke. So we had to ship it back to the vendor. So I don't know if we're going to be able to save that video, but it was just one of the things that we wanted to do to kind of show you how we're progressing with our traffic movement and that kind of thing. We're doing some intelligence with monitoring the web pages with some of these students. Couple things with the cell phones, but nothing that we need to get too excited about at this point. I think
When you say web pages, are you referring to social media?
Social media,
Okay.
yes. One of the things that we pulled down yesterday, I believe it was Monday, one of the students posted, no cell phone, no school. But we've been monitoring that. So those are the kind of things that we've kind of been monitoring for the last couple of weeks. And finally, our schools got all their safety plans in, so that was great. We're off to a good start with that. We're off to a good start with our fire drills. Don't really like to do it in the heat of the day, but it's a part of getting it done. So we got to get it done. We got to test the system. So with that, unless you guys have questions for me, okay.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Yes, I attended 2 scrimmage games, one at the Savannah-Chatham campus and the Groves campus, and the security was really, it was nice because it was a scrimmage, and of course, there weren't a whole lot of students. I did notice a K-9 at one of the schools. So you be having K-9s at all of the games, or it just all depends? And are you doing anything different regarding security and safety during football season at these games, especially when we're a host?
Yes. A couple
team.
things that we're doing this year. One of them is that, like, if we have games that involves schools that's outside our district, right? Like, say if we have one at our partner stadiums, we're putting those vestibules there to be used. They're still ours, but we're allowing our visitors to be able to screen their folks on their side, and then we'll continue to screen ours. That's just a good partner relationship. So we're working to do that. K-9s normally don't do every school. It just depends. If we have some activity where there's a lot of social media postings and something like that, then we will bring them out. Or if there's a request by the supervisor at that particular location, we'll bring them out. So those are a couple things that we're doing. Now, as far as officers at schools, yes, we are doing things a little bit different this year. We are starting to reduce that number depending on the crowd. We used to go by the ticket sales, but because that's not accurate, sometimes you might have an influx of folks show up at the last moment, and then we're skewed a little bit. So what we're doing now, we're allowing officers to come in. We're posted our bare minimum, and then we can adjust if we need to. If it's a rivalry game, then we will post a little bit more. But we're trying to be conservative but safe. Our safety is our priority, but we want to be good stewards of you guys' money as well.
Also, homecoming games, sometimes they don't purchase tickets, but they have the activities in the parking lots and things, so that's another opportunity to have more security during those big homecoming games.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Grabowski?
I just want to.
I'm sorry, before Mr. Grabowski, Mr. Smith had his hand up. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Safety is such a high priority. Quick question for you. When we have schools that have high traffic areas for after-school hours, do we have, what's the way of getting a traffic guard or surveillance in these particular spots?
It just need to be made known to us. Some of this we know. We may work with athletics or whoever is putting on the after-school event. So we are prepared for that, and we may have an IEP in place for it. But if we don't, if we're made aware of it, then we can make those adjustments. I think, as you know, we did away with our asset protection team, which works later at night. So we moved.
And I'm just referring to like immediately after school, when school just gets out and crossing the street for students here and there.
Yeah, just a request this, that we need those folks, then we can handle that.
Awesome, thank you.
Mr. Grabowski?
I just want to quickly say thank you for making those adjustments. The number of officers, we sometimes have the need for more officers, but there's other times we've had more officers than people there. And not only is that not the wise use of our fiscal and human resources, but I think it also sends an unintended message of like, is there something going on here and that I'm not safe that requires all these officers to be here? So I think that balanced and sensible approach, it's, great to kind of hear that adjustment that's being made to the staffing.
Anyone else? Thank you so much, Ms. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're off the hot seat.
Okay, all right. Dr. Brinkman?
Yeah, thank you for the app. The app is great. I would tell all the board members, download it because you can subscribe to each one of your schools, and then it literally gives you a calendar of their events if they're updating their stuff. So you can know when their games are, like all the way to the club level. Like my kid's going to a club today, and I was like, that's on the app? It is. So you really can, if you're trying to get more involved in after-school activities and sporting events and things like that, but you also get little like blurbs from the schools when they're doing things. You can decide to follow the district if you want to for their events. And then Reverend Smith just showed me that our pictures got updated, so whoever made that happen, thank you for getting our pictures updated to what we look like now on the website as well.
For some, that's good and bad.
All right. Anything else from anyone? All right, I will now accept a motion to go into executive session. Just okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye, let's go.